Hello, and welcome to another edition of Girls Talk 9.0, where we talk about the movie pick of the week and occasionally the topic du jour. Today, we're going to talk about the 2023 film Late Night with the Devil, directed by Australians Cameron and Colin Carnes. My name is Whaley Hallow, and with me today is the notorious note taker. How you doing? It's been a minute.
It has been a minute.
Definitely has been a minute. And I think this is going to be a very interesting conversation today. I really do. Um, so before we begin, spoiler alert, we're going to talk about the beginning, the middle, and the end, but we want you to hang around with us and see how your views jive with ours. So what is this about? This is about a 1970s nighttime host whose ratings are plummeting, and he does what some
Mhm.
might consider the outside of the norm, very different, and outside of the boundaries of what late night should be. And by doing so, some strange things happen, and this movie does have a twist at the end. So, without further ado, at a very high level, that's what it is. So, Nanya, what do you got? What do you got for us?
Okay. Well, I apologize for the poor lighting, but it's exhausting trying to figure this stuff out. This was an interesting movie.
Mhm.
Um, and after I watched it, I thought uh we did on our last podcast, I think we did the WTF Did I Marry?
Yes.
Thought WTF did I watch? Like what the fuck did I just watch? Because I don't know what it was. I'm gonna start with the good parts because every movie has some good parts. I do appreciate any attempt to bring a fresh perspective to the horror genre, and I feel like they did that. It's not often that we see movies that are set in a television studio, so I like that that part was very fresh. Um, I liked that. I always like it, I don't ever mind if it's a different era, particularly if it's a new take on that. So I did appreciate that quite a bit. There was a lot of very intriguing things about this movie. One of the intriguing things is that the it felt like a movie within a movie within a movie. It almost felt like a movie about a play because when they kept going back and forth between the movie set was in color, but when it was quote in real life, so the
Oh my.
backstage parts were all in black and white, and I'm not
Right.
sure what they were trying to tell us about that. So maybe you can shed some light because I was confused. I did enjoy I felt like we know all these movies oftentimes are about selling your soul to the devil, but I felt like it was more explicit in this film. And I did appreciate that it was very clear he had sold his soul to the devil. Now, what that meant, I think, got murky, but he definitely sold his soul. I thought they did a great job in terms of capturing the 70s. It's not like I was out there in the 70s watching late night TV. I was not, but um, from it looked genuine. I thought the sometimes when filmmakers will try to do a different era, like 70s, or like they go over the top. And so either everybody's like a hippie or everybody's got on these crazy bell bottoms. And, I think that this was the way that when I look back at like talk shows from the 60s or shows, this felt genuine. It felt like it really could have been in the 60s. Actually, it was in the 70s, excuse me. It felt like it could have been in the 70s. So I did appreciate that. I appreciated the fact that I thought the depiction of the late night television show in general was very accurate. Like that era of corny late night TV shows where they're always cracking the very corny guests and the audience kind of has the applause cards. Like I felt like all of that felt like real. Um, and I liked that no matter what was happening on the show, there was always, we'll be right back after this break from our sponsor, this message from our sponsor. And I thought that just felt, that reminded me, it took me back. So I did appreciate that. I also appreciated the one scene, and I know this is making no sense if you haven't watched the movie, but the one scene where the naysayer, the skeptic, was trying to hypnotize the guy, but actually hypnotize the entire audience. I felt like that was the first time I saw anything like that. And that I actually really enjoyed. So it was little things, right? It had the right setting. I liked the idea of it. I thought the authenticity was there, but there was just something missing. So that's all I have to say that was good. And then when I get to, okay, well, what was wrong? I didn't understand the movie. I didn't understand who the wife was. Was she the devil? Was she not the devil? I didn't understand that. And even though there was a lot of fresh aspects to the movie, I felt like, again, there was a lot of the same old, right? It's only the devil seems to only be interested in possessing 13-year-old girls. It's like, come on, you know, possess a 95-year-old, possess a 50-year-old fat man. Like, why is it always a 13-year-old girl? I get so sick of that. And then the scene where I don't even know what it was. It wasn't an exorcism, but where the devil was, I guess, speaking, or that felt like the same. The makeup was the same. The gestures that everybody who speaks with the demon voice, it's always like this growly man's voice. Like, scare the shit out of me and make it like this high pitched, like weird voice. Like, if it's just going to be, yes, I feel like we've already seen all of that. So I felt like there was a lot of repetitiveness. So even though I'm crediting it for being new and refreshing and unique in some aspects, there was also a lot of the same old. um we'll have to get into the whole thing about the psychiatrist and her relationship with the girl, because what the hell was that? And what else would I say? For me, I don't like grotesque things, and some of it was too grotesque for my taste. And the scene I'm talking about, when the worm came out of the man's head, and I was just like, I'm not watching that. And so I literally just I did the old, see no evil, and I just waited for the scene when I felt like the scene was over, and then I opened up my eyes, because that was just too much. And it felt like a cheap shot. I keep going back to, who the hell are these devils? Who the hell are these devils that you have all this power and all you want to do is like make worms appear or flies? Like, I just don't understand it. But that's my chaotic review, because for me, I can't wait to hear what you have to say, because I don't understand the movie, and I think we do need to go through step by step for me to understand it. So
Me
that's my
too.
beginning.
Yeah, I don't know if it was genius or junk. I don't know if it was brilliant or blasphemy. I just don't like, I was like you said, WTF did I watch? But it's so, and when I got to the end, I thought, well, were they, with all that's going on in the music industry, let's say, right, where they're saying people are selling their souls to do X, Y, and Z. I thought, was there a commentary behind that? Was that what they were trying to say? Is that what he had to do to get the ratings? He had to sacrifice his wife, or I don't know. I was really confused. I did appreciate, to your point, it was definitely different. I love the fact that the naysayer, the skeptic, hypnotized the entire audience. Like, I was like, okay, that's brilliant. I mean, there were just sparks of just brilliancy in this movie. I literally have to say that. I will say, at minute 15, if things hadn't changed, I would have never made it through this movie, because I was like, what? Why?
It
Looking
was
at Leisure
slow.
Suit Larry on a corny night show, I was like,
Leisure Suit
what is this?
Larry.
What is this?
who's
Um,
selling uh who's selling color TVs out the window of his shop.
exactly. He did a phenomenal job, that actor,
Yeah,
because he
did.
definitely had the essence of and it was almost corny. And his boss with the big over exaggerated wig. I mean, I didn't
Smoking
know if I was supposed to.
nonstop, chain smoking, couldn't even finish a sentence without. So what are we gonna do?
I honestly, I didn't know, was I supposed to laugh? Was it serious? And then it just boom, it took a change. And when it took a change, it just went from, funny to like, what the hell? Like, you had the first guy who, no one believed him because
Chinko.
it's hard, I
Is
think,
his
if
name
you're
Chinko?
psychic, to pinpoint. Yeah, what is it?
Chinko, right?
It's
Chinko?
Chico. It's a little longer than that, like
Ch-
Chiquido or some, I don't know, some a little
oh,
longer than
okay.
Chico.
Chinko,
But
or
huh?
Chinku. Something, I think it was, I thought
Something, yeah, something with
something
a
along those
weird,
lines.
weird spelling, weird sound. When he came on and did his spiel, I think as a psychic, I'm not a psychic, but I do believe it would be difficult if you could talk to people who have crossed over to actually pinpoint. So I understand skeptics, right? I might say I'm hearing, maybe the name Mary's coming through because who knows what it sounds like in your head? You know what I mean? It could be muffled, it could be in a different language, it could be anything. So the fact that he was a little off on the name and they just took it to the extreme, I thought was interesting, but I was shocked that it tied back to like the talk show host. I mean, this thing was, like I said, I just didn't know if I was coming or going. It was, it
Felt
was so
abused. Because
tough.
it's like you got slapped around for an hour, 30 minutes.
Yes, honest to God, honest to God. So I don't know if I loved it or hated it. I honestly thought there were just some genius points in this movie. And then there were parts where, like I said, I was like, well, I just need to breathe. Like I don't know what to do here. Like I don't know what to do with this information. I felt like maybe I was hypnotized the whole movie. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it started from the beginning with me. Because I honestly don't know. And then the ending, was that supposed to be the beginning? Like I just don't, I have no clue. But let's start from the top and work our way down because and I feel like after we talk, maybe it'll help me. I did actually go listen to Cameron and Colin talk a little bit about it. And one thing they did say is at the end, because everybody was like WTF, and they said that's what we wanted. We wanted you to
Oh,
come
so this was
away.
not, so our reaction was typical.
Yeah, so they were like, what do you think happened? I don't want to give it to you. I don't want to spoon
Mm.
feed you. I want you to take your imagination and run with it. So I was like, good, because everybody in the audience was like, huh? Like, huh? Just snap out of it. Like I thought I was asleep. Snap out of it. So anyway, let's take it from the top. So we have this night host, which I thought honestly, like I said, he was the epitome of the night show host at that era, the clothing, the hair, and to your point, it wasn't over the top, but it was very, I call it Leisure Suit Larry, the checkered suit jacket and the beige pants and the, big wide
Sideburns,
tie and the side.
lots of sideburns. Yeah.
Yeah, and his boss with that afro, I don't know, his wig was like over exaggerated. I just thought, and he's smoking and who does that? You don't smoke in the office anymore, you know what I mean? So they kind of captured that. Everyone's running around with a cigarette. So I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And the background was very basic. You know what I mean? Like when the backdrop of his show was very basic. There were no dancers. It was just nothing. It was just this kind of 70s color, brown, yellow weird orange mixture of stuff. And it was just very interesting that, like I said, I do believe they captured that 100%. That guy did a phenomenal job because he was very, very, very believable.
For
Very
sure.
believable.
I so the background about him being in that organization,
In
that
the
was
beginning, well, before you go there, in the very beginning, remember the opening scene was a bunch of ads or newspaper clippings of occults and all these things. And at first I thought, well, where are they even going with this? So they kind of told us in the beginning. That's why at the end I wasn't sure if that was actually the beginning because it almost seemed like they were saying this is what was happening at this point in time. Like this is what was prevalent in 1977, all these
I
occults
think it
and all that
was.
stuff.
Yeah,
And
for
so
sure.
it was headline news, but it was, yeah.
Yes.
And maybe that's, yeah, I don't know.
I think it was headline news and on into the 80s, the devil worshiping in the 80s and everything was the, everything was somebody saying something backwards. I think that
Oh,
hysteria was
that's
very big
right.
in the late 70s and in the 80s.
That's right. That's
Certainly
right.
cults were very popular in the 70s. So I thought it fit in. I understood it that he was a member of this very exclusive cult,
We
if you
talked
will,
about
the
that. You're
secret
right.
society of very rich and
Right.
famous people, which was weird that
Right.
he got in it, right? Because, but I guess they were all selling their souls. And so he had joined it with the hope
Right.
that if he had pledged his soul to whatever this entity is, he
Or
would
somebody's soul.
receive,
Maybe it was his wife.
or maybe somebody's soul, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of, I guess, it's your soul and hers, right? Because you're going with her just later. But um, so I thought that, okay, so then fine. He was a part of this organization. I think he was frustrated that he had, as you said, sold his soul and his wife's soul to the devil, but his ratings still weren't great. So, but I think he was still a potential believer. So I understood that part. But what I didn't understand was how that connected to the wife. Like, what did the wife have to do with it? When she came out and towards the end of her life, when she was dealing with chemo or whatever, and she was on the stage and she was saying how much she loved her husband and what a great person he was, there was a weird energy between the two of them. And I
Right.
couldn't understand. And he was looking at her strangely. He was looking at her like what we think he was looking at her, which was like, when you gonna die, right? Like, hurry up and die. But he was looking at her weird. But then later, when the whole possession or whatever it was happening on the stage, why was his wife there? What was her relevance? Was she taking revenge on her husband, and how?
Remember at
I
the
didn't
very
understand
end
it.
where they showed us to your point, like there was a different dynamic. Remember at the very end, they also showed her on the stage and he had that same look, but the look was like, why is she still here? Like to your point, why aren't you dead already? Almost he was looking like I sacrificed you. Why are you still on stage? Remember that at the very end when he was kind of going through all of the, I don't know, he was reliving
I thought it
everything.
was a
Maybe he was the
flashback
only,
of what we had seen of her on the stage when she was giving him. That was the look to me he gave her when she was on the stage, and then they
except
did a flashback to it. No.
except her words were different, right? At the end, her words were, don't you think you sacrificed enough? Or something like that. It was more like that. Her words were more like,
I didn't pay
it,
close enough attention to what she was saying the second time.
yeah, it was very different. Because in the beginning, it was my husband, I love him, blah, blah. But at the end, her words were like, didn't we sacrifice enough? Or don't you think we sacrificed enough? Or did you get what
Mm,
you wanted out of the sacrifice? So that's why I think the look that you saw in the beginning was kind of like the look he had at the end, but from a different perspective, because he's probably thinking, how is she even on the stage? Which kind of that's why I was kind of confused as like, was the whole thing just, did he relive the entire thing almost? You know what I mean? I don't know, it was just so confusing to me. But
yeah.
yeah, she had a very different dialogue with him at the
Oh,
end.
now that makes me want to go back and watch it again to hear what she had to
I'm
say.
telling you, it was deep.
Um,
This movie was definitely like it
it
wasn't
was
a once
layered.
and done. It was, oh gosh,
Yeah, it
yes.
was layered. If you want to doze off in the movie, this is not the movie
This is
for you,
not the
because
one.
you will doze off and think you went into a different movie theater and we're watching a different movie because it's all over the board. Um,
Yes.
I so
Yeah.
let's do your point. So let's go back, right? So this is
Yeah.
Halloween night, 1977, 78,
Correct.
77,
1977.
and he's behind in the rating, so he's trying to pull out all the stops. He
Yeah.
has this psychic come out. I thought, to your point, the psychic seemed to have touched two of the people in the audience. He seemed to be talking to the two people who was a mother and a daughter, and they had lost their son brother, and he seemed to be gelling with her. And then this other skeptic who he had on the show kept fighting him about it. But what so who possessed that man? Like you said, the wife came back into the picture because he kept saying Marnie. So it was his wife had possessed that man?
I believe so. And that's probably why it was a negative possession. Again, going back all the way back to the ending where he had that conversation with her on stage and she's saying, was it worth it? Maybe that was her just coming out being, I don't know, maybe she didn't want to be sacrificed and she was, or she
I
thought it was
think that's a
different. He
good
dragged
point.
her into it.
I think he did. I think you make a good point. Now that I'm thinking about it, it sounds like he did sacrifice her. Like maybe he poisoned her, but he sacrificed
Right,
her. Because it was
right.
later in the movie where they talked about, like, there are cults that believe you have to sacrifice somebody to please whatever. So he sacrificed her in some
Yeah,
way.
right.
But then how does that make her come back as a demon is what I didn't understand.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Now we're
That
now we're
piece,
trying to make logic out of what makes no sense.
theologics, yeah, I don't know why she would come back as a
Seems
demon.
logical.
Yeah, yeah, why? Yeah.
Yeah, well, just like their
Yeah.
obsession with worms. I don't get that either. But anyway, so I thought that guy did a great job of
Which
acting.
which
The guy,
one?
the psychic.
The with the dark hair?
Yes.
Yes.
I thought
Yeah.
he did a great job.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
he's also the one that had the most gruesome, well, he had a gruesome scene. And
Mm,
that's to my first, WTF, right? So this man comes out, right? And I know a lot of people believe in psychics. So I don't, the audience was very much on board with
mm,
it. He had the audience in his hands. The skeptic kept
mhm.
trying to derail it, but the
Right.
audience was with him. But then when he felt that somebody else was talking to him and he was channeling it and he was saying
Yeah.
it's this Mandy person, i.e., the host's wife.
Many, yeah.
What I didn't understand was the black stuff coming out of his mouth and
So
why this, okay, let's say I don't even need to understand why the black stuff came out of his mouth. What I didn't understand was why the audience didn't stampede towards the door.
he kept
Why are you
saying,
still in your chair?
he kept saying, help me, this doesn't feel right. And all they did was, let's get him off the stage. I'd be like, wait a minute. And then, you know what? I thank God I've never had cancer. I don't know if I've ever experienced anyone with cancer, but I think that when I think of cancer, I think of this erosion in your body and black stuff coming out.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if, maybe that was cancerous, where
Oh, symbolic
cancerous.
of the wife, what she had gone.
Yeah, who knows? I'm making this up, but that's the way I interpreted it. That.
I think that makes sense because I think it's our projection of also evil because I feel like in a lot of horror movies, whenever they spit up, it's always black gook.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think we always think evil's black and black is evil. So
yeah.
that made sense to me. But why the audience just stayed so calm? Because at
I
that
don't think
point,
they
I'm looking
believed
for the.
it.
Yeah, I think that's what they were thinking, because the other
Yeah.
skeptic kept saying this is just part of his act.
He
This
was
is what they
phenomenal.
do. This is what they do. Now,
Yep,
and
yep.
I get it. I probably, if I was in the audience, like I said, I'd sit through the skeptic part. I mean, the psychic part. But when stuff was like, I mean, that was like shooting out of his mouth like a hose. Maybe I'm not jumping out of my chair yet, but I'm certainly canvassing the whole building for where the closest
You move
exit.
into the back row. You were
I'm
once
in
in
the
the
back
front and in
row.
the back.
I've got my purse wrapped around my arm. My sneakers are tied up tight. Like I'm at least preparing
That's when you
mentally.
start counting the exit signs.
Yes,
This one behind here.
exactly.
This
Which one
one.
is the closest? Who do I need to stomp to get out of here?
Yeah,
Thinking
yeah,
that. And so that was one
yeah.
of the things that was crazy about the movie. And then I kept saying, well, maybe this is 1977, right? This is me looking through the 2024 cynic view. I've seen everything, that I can't be, I don't believe anything. But maybe back then you'd be like, oh, like you said, what is happening? And this would be such an unusual experience to be a part of it that you might be more hesitant to walk away because you don't get to see stuff like that all the time.
Right,
But I did like that. So then that guy ends up leaving. We end
yeah,
up finding out that he passed away, which they keep
right.
from the audience, which I thought was kind of, it wasn't weird that they kept it from the audience. I thought it was weird that they kept filming, but they kept filming. And then he brings out his second guest, which is this woman who wrote a book about this little girl who was a part of this devil worshiping cult. Now, what
Right.
did you think of the flashbacks to the devil worshiping cult?
And so there was this
Oh, I'm laughing because I was like, what?
there was this one incident. I'm not even gonna say because it would just be taken out of content. It sounded really me. But I tell you, somebody looked like Sammy Davis Jr. to me, and he was a little shorter. And I was like, that's creepy. I mean, they look like things from a typical freak show. Like, if you think back to a freak show, the people that they had on the ice, yeah, I don't know what they were. The makeup was pretty bad, I would say. It just seemed like the whole thing, that's what I'm saying. The whole thing seemed like a B budgeted film, but it
Yes.
just had this phenomenal twist. I don't know.
It
It
really
was,
did because when they went to the cult, I was expecting like, ooh, like this is a real cult. Okay. And then they had like the satin red pillow with the knife on it. And I'm just like, come on. Like, there were parts about it that were funny,
And they're
Oh,
making this
and the
chicken
leader
noise.
was just so weird. And then when the girl, so when Lily, the girl that was possessed, so the author who apparently rescued this girl Lily from this cult, because apparently they had bred her to be a sacrifice. So they were, raising all these kids so that they could sacrifice these kids to the devil. But
That's what they said, yeah.
this woman supposedly saves the girl. So they come out on the show. And then when the author comes out first, and then she's like, come on, Lily, come on, Lily. And Lily comes out. What did you think of her entrance?
Well, first of all, I thought Lily was going to be 10. I forgot that it was 3 years earlier. So even though she was 13, I was like, okay,
She
okay.
was
But I tell
giant.
you, she was creepy AF. I mean, that girl, she did a great job. The way she kept looking at the camera and just turning off to the side and just staring at things and her voice, I was like, yeah, they need to chain her ass now. Like, don't even wait. You don't even need to hypnotize, just chain her because she's creepy, period.
Remember, there was a point where somebody said that the devil craves attention. I think this the psychic, I mean, the cynic said that maybe that the devil craves attention. And
Oh,
I
that
thought
makes
that's
sense.
why when she came out and the camera was that way, remember she looked over her shoulder at the camera and she's like, hi. And like I said,
Yeah.
that was creepy.
Oh,
And she
yes, she
came
was
out like a
creepy.
ballerina. Like it was like, oh my God, I have the camera on me. She was so happy and so excited to be on the stage. And I thought, wow,
She's
the devil
creepy.
really does like attention.
Yeah,
That
she was
was
like 6 feet. I mean, she really wasn't, but she just seems, because again, I was thinking 10 years old. So when I saw her, I was like, and then when they said 77, I was like, oh yeah, okay, okay. Her stuff happened in 74. Okay, okay, okay.
And I had to remind myself that this is the way 13-year-old girls dressed in
Yeah,
1977.
yeah, yeah.
I
That
mean,
made sense.
you would be, that's toddler clothes today, right? Like 13-year-old girls now,
Ah! Baby doll. Look like baby doll clothes, right?
maybe not clothes. 13-year-old girls now would be coming out with like spike heels on and, cleavage everywhere and makeup and drunk
Uh,
elephant on their faces and all this other kind of stuff. And so
fake
it
eyelashes,
was like,
yeah.
oh, that's right. Those
Yeah.
little tights and the little baby doll dresses and
Yep.
again back to the 70s, it was when you look at how modest everyone dressed then. It was
Yeah,
such a
yeah, yeah.
stark contrast, but
Yep.
that girl did do a phenomenal job. I felt like
Oh,
the
she was
faces she was
creepy.
making were scarier than when they tried to like insert
Yeah,
that 10
yeah,
seconds of CGI.
yeah. They
What
didn't
was
even have
that
to do
for?
that.
They didn't have to do that.
Mm-mm.
They didn't
She
have to
had
do
it
that.
down pat.
She had it down pat. The other scary person in the movie was the skeleton in the audience. You don't
He
need
wouldn't say
CGI.
anything. Yep. I was like, you need to get him out of here.
The bunny, whatever that deformed bunny was at the end, and get the
If
devil
I
out of
can't see
here.
your face, you're not coming into the audience. Like he was just too creepy. He wouldn't make any noise when the guy walked up to talk to him. He just looked at him. I'm like, yeah, you need to go.
I thought the same thing.
Security.
Yeah, you don't need CGI because humans are creepy as can be. Like, it's just
Yeah.
like,
Yep. Yep.
ah. Oh, but
Yep.
that was so good. It was so very good that they had those elements in there. That even when
That's
they
what
would
I'm
show the
saying.
band and they would just be the outlines. Oh, did that? Okay. The
Yeah.
outlines of the band's figures.
Yep.
Oh, that was even scary because
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
a lot of times they were motionless and you were like is something there was a lot of it wasn't this ominous dread like some movies we've seen, but there was this okay, something crazy is about to happen.
Yeah, because you didn't
Um,
know. Like you couldn't, your mind couldn't even like typically if you know the storyline or something, your mind will take you in a certain direction. This one was just like a cluster. Like I don't know, should I focus on this or do I focus on that or should I be afraid of this? Like what am I afraid of? Like you just had no clue.
and the fact
You
that the
know, you just
people were
knew something
so
was coming
yes like
and
yes
you weren't
and
prepared.
the
You just couldn't
people were
prepare yourself.
yes and it felt like because it was the 70s everyone was so naive. Like there was just this sense of like I said that even the leader of the band or his sidekick, I'm not even sure what that guy's role was.
Mm,
I think he was the band leader, but even when he started to get a little bit skeptical and nervous like about what
mhm.
was happening, even he was kind of hesitant to he was still participating in it.
Yes.
And I just was like, yeah,
Walk
this is
away.
this is the beginning of the end right here, right? Because
Yes.
nobody was pulling
Yeah.
out phones to videotape it. I mean, it was just a different era, and that made it that much scarier. There was even a
Right.
scene which I thought it was going to go somewhere, but there was a couple times when the set doors behind the chairs would open, would like close, and it was like
Mm.
somebody's going to get stuck. And at one point, I thought, oh my God, everybody's going to get stuck in here. It's going to be like Carrie, and everybody can't leave the building.
Right, right,
And
right.
that was, you said all these potential fears coming in, none of which were realized, which was good because, because it's not like, oh, I'm walking down the hallway. There's a door, something's coming out, like, or I'm in the
Exactly.
bed and the closet door
Exactly.
opens. It was none of that. You didn't know if something was going to come flying down from the
Just didn't
ceiling.
know.
When the fake bat came flying around on the string, I nearly jumped because it was just so silly. It was just, you just didn't know. Like, is like I said, the devil in the audience in that horrible Halloween costume? Is we gonna find out that's really the devil? I just didn't know where the terror was gonna come from.
Because you don't know where to run. Like I
You
don't
didn't
know.
know where to run.
I don't know
Did
which
not
way
know
I'm
where to
going
run, and I did
today.
appreciate that. Now, when they finally did, when the psych, when
The
the psych
skeptic.
skeptic said to
Oh, he was
the author,
phenomenal. He
he
was
was he
phenomenal.
was phenomenal. Wait a minute, did he? What was the order? Did he hypnotize the audience? Yeah, he did. He hypnotized the audience first.
Well, all of us at the same time,
No, no,
audience.
but before the girl was before Lily came out and did her thing, right? Or was that after?
Oh, it was after.
That's right, it was after. So that's right. So the first thing was Lily, the host said to the author, can we get a demonstration? Can we see Mr. Wiggles, who was apparently the person that was
Yeah.
demon living inside this girl's name was Mr. Viggles or Wiggles, whatever.
Wiggles. Yeah. Yeah.
And then her guardian, the psychiatrist, is like, no, no, we can't do that, we can't do that. And they're like, yeah, we really want to see it. And she's like, okay, sure, okay, yeah, that
Well, I
that
think she was a little more hesitant than that. That's why they kind of strapped her down. But I mean, if she honestly, if the danger was that ominous, she should have said no. There's just no way. Especially when she had already said, she's already um, acting outside of, my potential at this point. She's already doing things that I really don't have control over. I mean, that's just like a big red flag. You don't put everybody in jeopardy. I don't care what this guy is saying, what kind of ratings he needs. You don't need them.
I was thinking the same thing. That's why I feel like she just caved so quickly because I felt like, and there's a common thread with psychiatrists being the most useless people in all these horror films.
Mhm.
We've seen like four in a row where the psychiatrist, the dad, the whatever, but they fuck these kids over so badly. You are the guardian of this child, and you
Right,
exploited that child by
right,
strapping her to a gurney in front
right,
of a live audience
right.
and forcing some demon
Pulling
to
this
come out of her.
demon, and you know it's a
And
demon.
yes, but you thought this was okay. I don't care if she said no
Yeah,
3 times. It wasn't enough. You are supposed to get up and take this
right,
child out. First of all, you're not supposed to bring her onto the show anyway, because you talk about
right,
exploitation. That's
right.
ridiculous. I was with the skeptic on this. She's just trying to sell books, but it was just horrifying. So then the girl gets out there, and I think the girl, like I said, she did a good job. The actress who played the girl, she did a phenomenal job with her, growling and stuff like that. They didn't do enough with her because I think she's like I said, they could have used her natural creepiness so much more effectively than they did. You didn't have to put cuts on
I,
her face. It didn't help or make it worse.
I felt like that was a double. I felt like that person was bigger. They looked taller, the head, the neck proportions, everything just looked a little bigger. So I felt, oh, maybe that's just a double because it really didn't look like her to me. I know not the makeup, but just the structure of her body. It just felt like it was almost a double. I don't know if it was, could have been makeup, but it felt like it was just a different person to me.
To me, it looked like her to me, but I will say that the prosthetics
Mm,
will make the face look bigger when they add that on.
right.
Because if you remember, it was the
Right.
same thing when we saw The Exorcist Believer and
Oh, yeah.
the two little girls that got
The
possessed.
Cabbage Patch.
The
Yeah,
cabbage, exactly, and their faces went from
yeah,
looking like a face to like, yeah,
right,
exactly like a Lego
right.
head, and I
Yeah,
felt like it was the same thing that once you start putting in the prosthetics so that you
yeah.
can show things, it makes it all too big. But
And
her
I thought her
arms and
body was
everything.
different. Like her body looked longer. Like she looked taller. It just looked like a taller person. But again, I don't know. It could
I
have been.
think that girl, I think they were trying to make an average size actress look like teeny because even when she came out, she was giant. Even
Hmm.
when she was sitting on the stage, her
Hmm.
shoes looked like they were size 10 and a halves. Like it was like this, it wasn't like I said, this little petite little girl that we're used to seeing
Right.
in these movies that you could just grab by the arm and swing around. No, this girl
Right.
was, she was thick. She was a 2024 13-year-old. She was
Yeah.
thick. And so yes, but I felt like,
Yeah.
but I'll have to go back and look
Yeah.
at it again because I actually liked when she was like jerking all around and I did not notice that her body
Yeah.
looked older. I
Yeah.
mean, or different to me. I thought that scene was good. Now, when the chair floated, I thought, oh, we've seen this 1,000 times. Here we go with the chair floated. But again, the audience is there, everybody's watching it. Then the chair comes down. Suddenly, she gets the girl to come back to herself by, getting rid of Mr. Wiggles. And then they proceed with the show. Then, okay, now we'll be back after this break, after this word from our sponsor. Then they come back and, like, okay, now after you just been witnessed all that, now just come sit on the stage with us. Just come sit on the stage with
Do
us.
you think if you were in the audience, though, because the skeptic was so phenomenal at what he did, do you think if you were in the audience, you would then doubt that what you had seen was real? Until, of course, her head split and all that crap, because he literally hypnotized the entire audience. They played back the film, and you were like, okay, I know I saw worms, but there's not a worm
That's a
on
good
this
point,
video.
but that's why I
And
asked if that was after.
no,
Because
it was after the girl. It was after the girl.
yes, so
So,
after I
so I'm
saw that,
saying it,
maybe I'd be skeptic. But when I saw the girl,
right.
I would already been at the door. Like I'd have been out in the
So
parking
there
lot.
would have been no part two.
There'd be no
You
part
asked.
two. I would have ever seen the hypnotism.
Right, right, right.
And also, it's funny that you but to your point, I think that was part of it, right? He was doing a great job at debunking everything. So everybody
Everything.
thought this is probably a hoax, it's a fake. And I
Right.
think he did do a compelling job. I'm just a scaredy cat. I would always be heading towards the door. But so then, and the band leader was a skeptic, right? So then he tries to, so then the skeptic says, the
Mm.
cynic, people call him cynic, skeptic. I don't even know what his name's. It would help if I ever paid attention to names in movies, but I don't. But he then hypnotizes the band leader, or so we think he's doing that. And so the band leader starts experiencing these crazy things with his body. He
Yeah.
he has learned that the band leader has this fear of worms. And the band leader's like, who's not afraid of worms? They don't have arms, they don't have legs, they're creepy, they're slimy. And so he hypnotizes the guy. And I can't even explain what I saw because I literally, as soon as the big worm came out of his head, I was like, I'm not watching anymore. It was the most gross thing I think I have ever seen. I have never
It's
been afraid of
creepy.
worms in my life, and I'm not afraid of worms now, but I'm afraid of whatever the hell that was that came out of that man's head. That I
Yeah.
don't want to see.
Yeah. It was pretty creepy.
And then it came out of his stomach.
Yeah. 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 They did a good job with that. They really did.
They
And
did.
it's so funny because, I've never been hypnotized, but I always have this fear that someone might be able to hypnotize me. But I was watching that thing and I kept looking away thinking, no, you ain't getting
Same, same,
me.
same. I refused to watch it, but I wouldn't watch it even in Get Out. When in the Get Out, when he was getting hypnotized to go to the down under or the below, whatever the hell that place was, I was like, oh hell no, I'm not going there with you. So yes, when they were doing that thing, I was like, yeah, no, nope. I don't want 20 years from now find out that people were actually hypnotized watching this movie. And I know that's ludicrous. I know it's silly, but I had the same reaction. I'm
I
not
kept
staring at
looking
that thing.
away. Yeah,
I'm not
I kept
staring
looking
at it.
away.
And I refused. I kept doing the same thing. I was like,
Yeah. I'm gonna blink at something. You're not catching me. I'm not falling asleep. Not falling asleep, but he bamboozled all of us. We were all
I
hoping.
that was amazing. And
Yes.
that to me would have been, that's got to be the scariest thing. And one of the reasons I don't like hypnosis either. Like whenever I see those
Mhm.
hypnosis things where they come on the stage and they, act like a chicken and they're all acting like chickens. And I always thought, I don't believe any of that.
Hmm.
Like I like to think I can't be hypnotized, but I refuse to, take a chance.
Yep. Yep. I feel like I can. That's why I'm like, I don't need all that.
Just feel
I'll
like,
act like a
I feel
chicken
like
if you want me to, but you don't need to hypnotize me. Let's just get
a
that
lot of people
straight.
do it. know, is that why people do it? They're like, I like to
You don't need to hypnotize me. I got
right?
you.
And if they don't, they'll go deeper. You'll be like, oh,
Exactly.
that,
I don't
that,
need you
that
to go
level of
deeper.
hypnotism didn't work. Let's keep hypnotizing. No, I'm a turkey.
I got
I'm
it.
a
I got it. I got you. What you want me to do?
I'm
You
gonna
go
go to
do
sleep. I'm asleep. I'm asleep.
it.
Yep, I'm a bunny. Yep, I'm a bunny.
What you want
Everybody
me to
else is a
do?
bunny. That's why everybody looking at each other scared. Like, yeah, yeah, let's all be bunnies.
Yep. 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 You're not getting any deeper than that. You don't need to go there. I can be what you want me to be. Don't go have me stand on a ledge.
I thought that was one of the best things about this movie, and
Yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
loved that it was so unexpected. I mean,
That
I was
was
flawed.
so
Yes, my
unexpected.
mouth
I
hit
have
the ground.
never.
I was like, "What? What?"
That
That's
was
why I
so
didn't look at
good.
that thing. I knew I shouldn't have looked at it
That was so good. Like I was like, oh yeah, see, just for that alone, I have never seen that before.
either.
He
Me
had
either.
bamboozled the entire audience and us. You know what I mean? Like I had never seen anything like that before. I was like, oh yeah, yeah. Kudos. Kudos to him because that was
Yes.
great. That was
Yes,
really,
that was
really,
really, really good. So after
really good.
that, what
And then it
happened after
kind of,
that scene?
but then
Oh,
that's when, and then he comes back and he says, see, I bamboozled the whole audience. Even the doctor was like, oh my God. And he's like, that's why she's a skeptic. And the look on her face, she was like, almost like, yeah, I did. It was all fake. And he's like, oh, maybe it was. But then, of course, we found out it wasn't. But there was one point where she had that look on her face, like, yeah, okay,
she
okay.
had some very strange looks on her face. I will say that.
Yeah.
There was a number of times. The scene where I really wanted to smack her was when she was sitting in front of her guardian child, as the girl was being possessed, and the girl's like acting up, and she turns to the audience and she's like, calm down, calm down.
She says,
No,
what?
calm down.
Oh,
Come on,
yeah.
everyone,
Okay.
calm down. No B, no B. You calm. You calm down.
No, you calm her down because I'm
Exactly.
out.
Exactly. You calm her down and you calm yourself down. Don't be telling me to calm down. I gotta calm down if I see somebody possessed. I mean, I'm supposed to be excited about, I'm not excited, I'm supposed to be like,
You're supposed to have a reaction.
yes. Don't be telling me to calm down, calm down, calm down. No, you calm down. I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready to kill her and you.
I'm already like this, right? And she's like, shh, you gotta be quiet. No, no, no,
Yes,
no. You're gonna hear
calm
me
down,
tap dancing
calm
my
down.
ass out the door. That's what you're about to hear.
That's when I would be kicked out because I'd be like, you ain't telling me to calm down. They'd be like, oh, here we go. Send her out. Thank you. Thank you. I'm
Thank
out
you.
the door.
Keep that skeleton's ass over there too. Don't let him out with me.
So
Tell me what.
after he hypnotized the audience, what
Yeah.
happened next? Because
Um,
why did the
went to
girl's
break.
head split in
I
two?
think
I'm forgetting all this.
I think they went to break again because, and then I think even that's when Jack Delroy started to feel a little nervous because she had kept calling him out, talking about the tall trees. I didn't get that part. I still don't understand what the tall trees were all about. I,
Isn't
do
it
you
those
know?
scenes in the beginning when they were in the woods, that cult, and they were
Yes.
worshiping whatever they were worshiping? It was like this, they were in tall trees.
Oh,
They were in
that's,
the forest among these tall
oh,
trees.
okay, okay. And what it was the relationship between Delroy and the author, I don't know what psychiatrist, I don't know what she was. She was a bunch of things. What was their
Um,
relationship? It was almost like it was a little bit romantic. Because remember, she kept saying, even when the girl Lily was possessed, she said
oh,
something
kept
about
saying,
Minnie, you killed
oh,
Minnie, and this is your other horse. She thinks you're handsome or some crap.
yeah,
So it was like,
maybe I don't know. Was it because I don't think that they were actually having any kind of relationship, but the devil was definitely letting him know that that woman had targeted him to be, targeted the show and wanted to meet him. So maybe that's all she was trying to say. I'm not sure about that part though, to your point, because she did keep saying, she thinks you're so handsome and all
yeah.
that
And
weirdness.
when
And
right before he convinced her to, do the demonstration on Lily, when they were in the back, they were kind of like close, just closer than you were if it was just an acquaintance. Like, I mean, well, they were almost hugging, but not really.
yeah, I
Like,
don't know.
what's going on here? Maybe
Yeah, I have no.
I don't know. I don't know either. Obviously,
So yeah,
What
so what
happened?
happened though when they came back from the break? Because I've forgotten what
Yeah,
caused the
I
girls.
think that's when he said, look, I bamboozled all of you guys. Look back at the film, right? Go back and look at the video.
Yep.
And that's, we went back, saw the video, saw actually nothing happened. Even the words that he was saying when they played back weren't even the words that we heard. Remember?
The skeptic,
Because
you mean?
the skeptic, yeah,
Yes,
when he
yes,
was
yeah, yeah. I did notice
hypnotizing
that.
him, we didn't hear those words. So when he went back and played it, we're like, you didn't say that." So yeah, okay. So and then they said, and then that's when the girl said, "Well, go back and look at my video." And then that's when they went back and watched her video. And that's when there was a glitch in the matrix or something. And then there was an image of his wife behind him. I didn't
Yeah.
know it was his wife. I was like, who's that in white? Like
I just knew because of the bald head, but yeah, I was
I didn't
thinking
even see the
the same
bald
thing.
head. I just saw a bunch of white. I was like, I don't know what that is. It's supposed to be. Obviously, it was related to him because it was behind him. I assumed it was his wife, but I certainly, and I think he was really getting more and more nervous at that point, Jack.
Oh yeah, he was definitely getting nervous because it was getting way too personal. Like it was like the
Yeah.
first couple times he could, ignore it as a coincidence, but by then he knew it wasn't. But again, what made her head split? I don't remember what made her head split.
Because um, I mean, I think it happened right that I know. Uh, um, oh my God, what was it?
Oh,
She
well,
was
there were
saying something to Jack, and she was getting mad. Remember, she was getting angry. She put her head down because the skeptic kept saying something to Jack, something about I can't remember exactly what he was saying, but whatever it was making her angry. Because remember, she put her head
yep.
down and she started to get more and more angry, and then she stood up, and all this I don't know,
And
lights
then
came out, and her
those
head
that have
split.
you well, if you haven't seen it, definitely close your ears. But then her head splits in two, and then
Yeah,
she has these two glowing eyes. And that part was like every 70s horror movie where like you have these beams for eyes and like these laser beams. And then she's kind of flailing on stage.
yeah, and
At this
she's
point, I
like,
think you said my head was spinning so much. I think I might have like I might have blanked out on half the end of it because I was just like, it's just saying what's happening.
but I think at that point the skeptic was a believer because remember he was on his knees and he was like, "Oh my God, praise be to her," whatever. He was like almost worshiping her, and he was like, he took out, he was trying to give her the money. Remember the check and it burnt because he
Yes.
thought it was still fake, but then he burned up. She choked the author. That's when people started to finally run. I mean, listen, like you, I would have missed the whole last 30 minutes of that show. But the thing is, back in the 70s, if you didn't watch the show, you would have never seen it anyway, because it was not like any repeats, so you weren't videotaping it. So it was like a once and done. So the people that were there, maybe that's why they didn't really leave because they knew it's not like I can go back and watch a rerun. You know what I mean? It's not like,
Or to your point, because it was been so rare, I think,
yeah,
and they had already seen a few movies, they might have thought, wow, this is what it's like to be on a movie set. Like this is all fake, but this is what it looks like to be up close to the fakeness. Wow, look how realistic it looks.
yeah.
Although again, it doesn't even have to be real for me to be cautious. Like when
Quack,
the
quack,
lights were flickering.
quack, quack.
Exactly.
Listen, I could be your chicken.
Exactly. Quack, quack. Where's that exit? Quack, quack, quack.
You have to
Okay,
go
so
there.
so then at the very end, okay, so everything goes crazy. Then at the very end, we see that him selling his soul apparently worked because suddenly his ratings are up. He wins this big prestigious grant, not Grammy, what is that? Emmys or something, whatever the TV
Whatever they
awards are.
win. Yep.
Um, and then, like I said, he has this incredible like flashback of all these, not all these times of his life, is really just this flashback of this little journey, I guess, since he sold his soul until now.
Right. Right.
And then I guess we're supposed to believe that, yeah, it did pay off that he sold his soul to the devil. I think when they were talking about all the people like in that cult being like rich and famous, I assumed that meant that they had all like sold their souls to become rich and famous. And that was kind of that, that I guess, not to say it paid off, but that it worked.
But at the very end, right? They're giving him the award to your point, but then, the scene cuts. It's like cut. and then he's on stage and he's trying to break out of the trance. He's saying that dreamer and the dream or something like that. Whatever the skeptic kept saying to take his friend out of the trance. Remember when we were, quote, all hypnotized? There was something that he said to bring him back, something about the dreamer and the dreamer, some crap. And so at the very end, right, because you notice Delroy is standing there, everybody's dead on the set but him, and he's saying, and again, I'm making this up, dreamer and the dream, dreamer and the dream. And he keeps repeating it because he's like, did I just do this? Is this real?
So
Remember,
maybe
it's
he did
almost
sell
like
his soul, but nothing came of it other than all those dead people in his studio. But in his mind, he imagined himself from that night moving forward and winning an award. But the truth is, he was stuck on the stage with all these dead bodies, realizing he had
but
sold his soul for nothing.
but he was stuck because remember, he was stabbing his wife. She was like, kill me, just kill me. And so he was crying. He's picking up the knife, he stabs her. But on stage, you see he's stabbing the little girl. So it makes you wonder, did he just, commit suicide, not commit suicide, did he just murder everyone in the scene? Like, do
Okay.
you remember
Now,
he,
after I talked so much junk about this movie, I'm actually going to go back and watch it again.
right?
Because
Because
because you're bringing up things that I probably, again, this is the kind of movie where you're so, huh?
confused.
That stuff is just flying by. Like you're like, oh, thank God I caught another one. Oh, okay. You're missing stuff. So now I want to go
Right.
back and look at
You
this,
almost
especially
don't know
the
what to
ending.
pay attention to. But yeah,
Yes.
at the very end, I'm like, wait a minute. So maybe he actually just killed everyone on the set, or it's just a set and everyone's faking it. I don't know. But I know he's saying the words that the skeptic was saying to bring his audience out of a trance. So it's almost
It
like
might be that he
like he
might,
was still
or maybe he was afraid that or he was praying he was in a trance and it wasn't real what had happened. And so
whatever
he
had
was like, I
happened.
hope that this is not real. So I hope I can wake up from this and that I did not have that all these deaths weren't because of my vanity and wanting to be successful.
Right. And actually my doing, because he was stabbing the girl at the end, like he was
Yeah.
there with the knife at her chest. Her head wasn't split. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's like, what actually just happened? What just happened?
Mm.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's I like I said, I don't know if it was genius or like it was just ah,
It was definitely, I see why it got a lot of good reviews. I think
if you
because it
make it to the
reminds
end.
me of, yes, it reminded me of Host. And what was the one where the taxi driver one? I forgot what it's called already.
Dash cam.
Dash Cam reminds me of Host and Dash Cam
Yeah,
in that it's you can't you can't be lazy because it's new. You can't do there's no oh well there like I said some things I knew was going to happen, right? Like I knew the girl was going to levitate because I don't know why that seems to be what everybody focuses on. But I think that there was enough new that you couldn't ever just assume you knew what was going to happen. You really didn't. There was no point in that movie where I felt like, well, the only thing I knew was going to happen was I knew that the girl was going to come out and be possessed, right? Because the way they were building up to that,
yeah,
but
you knew
how it
that.
unfolded was not what I expected. How it
Right.
they did this and then they just shot back up on the stage and continued on to the next segment. Like there was nothing about it, that was like, oh yeah, we got to watch this again. We might have to have a part
The
two of
part
this.
two, I agree. I agree. I was like I said, I don't know. Like it was, I don't know if it was one of the best movies or the worst movies. Like I can't even. It was just so different. Like to your point, I believe there's so many things that were common, expected, but then there was so many unexpected. So it's like they almost drew us in with that. And then it's like,
The
boom,
familiarity,
got you.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like that
100%.
hypnosis.
Yeah,
We were
yeah,
bamboozled. It was like
yeah.
that
We were
whole,
hoodwinked for sure.
yeah,
We were running
yeah.
amok.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So tell me about the directors. Are they brothers, you said?
they didn't say, I'm assuming they're brothers, they look alike.
Oh, they
And so
were, you
this is the
said
very
they were,
interesting
what was
thing.
their names?
Carnes is the last name, Cameron and Collins. This is the interesting thing. Here's their inspiration. They said when they were they're from Melbourne. When they were in Australia, they used to watch late night shows. The late night host is an American from the Bronx. So when he, and at that time, it was all of this cult stuff. So they were all into the cult stuff. And he said they would, they couldn't wait to watch these shows with this host from the US. So I don't know if that's where they, you know what I mean? That host, whoever that person was, they mentioned his name, but I can't remember. He obviously inspired them and they kept the memories and they must have put a little twist on it. But yeah,
um,
yeah, it was they're very basic. I don't know how else to say. Like they're very average guys.
the only American in the show was the host.
Yeah, that Del and he is from like Kansas City. So they said they wanted to get someone who
Who looks
was
kind of you know, quintessential American.
quintessential American. Yes,
But I
exactly.
can't believe all the other cast members are Aussie. I give them credit because I can usually detect a different accent. I did not, would never have guessed.
Yeah,
Oh wow. So this is really, really good.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, good job on this movie.
They have two others. I thought, oh, maybe we should watch one of the other ones to see,
Oh, I
like if
would
there's,
love to. Yeah, we should definitely do that. I was trying to see if I could find
yeah.
out. Oh no, 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 that was two different brothers. I didn't realize that two brothers did talk to me too. Okay. We
Oh,
still haven't talked about that's one of the best horror movies in recent
wait,
years.
we didn't do that one?
We never did talk to me. We kept it was on the list, and I don't know why we never. No, we never talked.
Oh,
Did
then
we?
we
No, I'm
that
pretty
let's
sure we
do
never
that
did.
one next
Yeah.
or after a sequel to this one. But yeah, I had to after seeing the movie. Because honestly, if I hadn't made it to minute 16, I would have never seen the rest of this movie. So for
I
anyone who wants to watch the movie, be patient because it's extremely slow. It's not that it's slow, but it's so 70s and things in the 70s happen a little differently. So there's no excitement. And
that's
you have to be patient till the 16th minute where things start to kind of change a little because otherwise you're like, what the hell?
that's a good point. It and that
What's going on
pacing
here?
is what makes it so authentic. We've
Yep.
talked a couple times about how authentic it felt. That pacing is what made it authentic. Like
Yeah.
you were this isn't a movie that tried to fit 8 days worth of stuff in an hour and a half. No, it starts at the start of the late night show, and you watch. It's like watching SNL for 90 minutes
Exactly.
directly. You are watching
Exactly.
live as it unfolds for
Exactly.
90 minutes. And so, yeah, it's not like they're going to throw fillers in to keep you interested. No, you're going to watch the setups for the
Yep.
scenes, the
Yep.
behind
The cut behind the scenes.
conversations.
Exactly.
Yes, them going to
Exactly.
the little, get snacks from the snack lounge or whatever
Exactly.
it is. But this is, I was,
Exactly.
oh,
It was, and yeah, to your point, I thought it was very interesting. It was almost like a movie in a movie because why was it set in color, but offset was black and white? I thought that was really interesting. It was
that's what I
almost
was saying in
like,
the beginning. What was the meaning of that?
I
And that's
can't
why it
remember.
almost felt like I said, it was either a movie and a movie, or there was an aspect of it that felt like we were watching a play.
Yeah, oh yeah, it definitely felt like a play.
Yeah, the way the scenes were kind of cutting from one to the other. It was
Right.
reminded
But
me of,
that's so 70s, right? We're so used to things not looking like a play and things being so
yes.
uh not fake, so energized or I don't know I can't think of the right word, but the pace is very different now, right? So when you watch stuff today, it's not a play. You don't hear the click clack of the shoes on the floor. Like this was so authentic to your point that it felt like a play. Literally felt like a play.
It did. It did. And I do give these guys credits. It says there's another it says that Australian horror movies seem to be having an international moment with audiences around the world. I know my dog is having a stroke in there. Um can I just okay. around the world now able to watch films including Sissy. You'll Never Find
Sissy.
Me and Relic on Shudder. Yeah, Sissy, You'll Never Find Me and Relic. I guess those are a
Those
couple.
aren't those aren't his though. Are they just
No, no, they're
Australian?
just Australian. They were saying Australian horror is getting this. Which
Oh,
I would love for Australian horror to
okay.
come along because, I feel like
Mm.
not a lot of cultures really nail horror.
Yep.
Some of them
Yep.
are great at it, some of them are
Yep.
not.
Yep.
Um, or I shouldn't say cultures, but the
Yep.
movie
I
industry.
don't know where I would put this. I mean, it was definitely horror-ish, but it wasn't really psychologic. It wasn't like jump scares. I don't know what it was. Like, I don't even
To
know
me, it
how, if
was
I
just
was to
old. It
define
was
this.
To me, it was 1970s horror. The way, not the way we define horror today, but this reminded me of like Rosemary's Baby, like movies like that, where, like you said, nothing, you don't even see the baby until an hour and a half in the movie, and you see it for 2 seconds, but it's this constant like build up, and it's just creepy people. Like there was a lot of movies like that in the 70s, I feel like. And I appreciate that. So to me, it is horror. It's just a different, it's just a different type of horror.
I mean, it is hard, but like I wouldn't know how to characterize it.
I
Wouldn't.
don't feel like we
I
have to
don't
stick
think it's
it in a box.
psychologic. I don't think it's jump scare. Like I don't. It's not a zombie. Like I don't even know what category. And I don't need to
Pure
categorize it.
horror. Yes, I'm saying
Right?
I
We
don't think
don't
we
need
need
to.
to.
But
It's just pure horror, and I like it that way. Heard of Sissy
a
before.
bit of silence here.
Oh wow, it's got good reviews.
Yeah, I don't know where did I see that? Where they said the other ones that they did. I don't know, but we can take it offline. We don't have to look at it here. We can talk offline what the next movie is. But do we want to rate? Want to rate the movie?
Yeah, yeah. So I feel like honestly, this is going to be my preliminary rating, and then I am going to watch the movie again. I
Yeah.
gotta watch it today. Fortunately, it's not a long movie, which I also love. Because I had to rent it. Uh, I'm gonna give it a 3 initially. I'm gonna re-rate it after that because the 3 reflects the fact that I love that it was a fresh take, a new context to the same old. I like that it was unpredictable. I always like, movies that are kind of contained, like, you don't have to go flying around the world. It was just the set of this, with a few actors. It felt very authentic. It felt like it was a 70s talk show. The acting was great. Um, Lots of things to like about it. What I didn't like was what I think I just don't understand. I have to go back and watch it again to maybe be able to tie the knots together. But for a movie that, that to me came out of the blue, definitely a solid 3.5.
Okay. So I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5. And I'll tell you, if I saw it again, I might give it a higher score, but I'm glad we talked about it because that, talking it out loud and kind of trying to tie the things from two perspectives was great. I thought the movie did a great job of uh capturing that time period. I think the 70s was just a slow period. And so, I think from an actor's standpoint, it's kind of hard to sit there and not do anything and still have presence on stage. And I thought that's what they did. You're just sitting there, the girl's just sitting there stare. Yet Lily took the opportunity to stare at the camera and still make her role relevant without speaking. So I think they did a great job with that. And I think, again, that hypnosis piece, I've never seen anything like that. I thought it was outstanding. How creative was that, right? And then I still like,
How terrifying is it, right? We want to
right,
believe that only the people who either aren't hypnotized but are going along with it, or the people who, are right there. You'd hate to now
right.
go to a Vegas show and realize that you were hypnotized the whole time. Like,
Right, right. You're like, wait a minute, I didn't want to participate. Well, you're in it to win it. So honestly, I mean, I thought, and then when I first saw the movie, I will say it was almost a 1 for me. But as I got past that 16th minute and got towards the end, particularly, definitely, I would recommend the movie to anyone who hasn't seen it. You have to watch the entire movie because you will be as I don't know, are we bamboozled still? Are we still unsure? We have no idea what happened. Like we're trying to put it together. And I'm glad that the ending is a little open-ended and it, allows for a conversation. But yeah, I mean, I would recommend the movie for anybody. Just you need to see it. You definitely need to see it. And I'm happy to watch other things by them because if this is their mindset, I'd be curious to see what they would do with other things. So I'm definitely going to give it a 3.5, maybe even a 3.7. I think I'll settle on 3.7 because I really think I was surprised. It doesn't take a lot. Well, I'm sorry, it takes a lot to surprise me. This movie definitely surprised me. There were things in there that I still can't explain.
Yeah, I said I think 3 to 3.5, somewhere, so maybe 3.25. Because it is unique and different. It is not you said it's not a jump scare kind of movie. It's not,
Not. It is
if
not.
you don't like small horror movies, you will not like this. But if you like layers, if you like to try to figure out what's happening, I
Good
think
point.
it's
Yep.
a good one.
Yep. It is a good one. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching us. We will catch you next time. I'm Willie Hollow. That's none your business. Thank you so much. Welcome to Girls Talk, and we'll see you next time. Bye.